In this video, we're going to be going over how to use the unit circle to remember the trig values of some of the most common angles. So here we have a diagram of the unit circle, and this diagram is really helpful for you to remember the conversions between radians and degrees, as well as remember the coordinate points in which the line segment of the angle intersects the unit circle. So if you remember from the last video, the line segment formed by the angle and its intersection with the unit circle gives you a set of coordinate points, in which the x-coordinate is cosine of the angle, and the y-coordinate is sine of the angle. So, for example, the cosine of pi over 6 is root 3 over 2, and sine of pi over 6 is 1/2. Now, if you look at this diagram, you may notice something. You may notice a common pattern, and that is all of the angles with the same denominator have the same set of coordinate points, but with different signs depending on what quadrant the point lands in. So let's take all of the angles with a denominator of 3, and let's circle that in red. So pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, 4 pi over 3, and 5 pi over 3 all have a denominator of 3. And all these points are the same, but they have different signs. Since pi over 3 is in the first quadrant, both the x and the y coordinates are positive. Since 2 pi over 3 is in the second quadrant, the x coordinate is negative, while the y coordinate is still positive. Since 4 pi over 3 is in the third quadrant, both the x and the y coordinates are negative. And since 5 pi over 3 is in the fourth quadrant, the x coordinate is still positive, but the y coordinate is negative. So right here, I just basically wrote down all of the points for each denominator. So what if I asked you, what is the cosine of 3 pi over 4? Since we're given a denominator of 4, we come over here. Second, since we're given that we're asked for cosine, we look at the x-coordinate. So we write that down here. And third, looking at the numerator, which is 3, we know that the point lands in the second quadrant, which means that x is negative. So we add in the negative sign. And this gives us our answer. Let's look at another example. What is sine of 11 pi over 6? We're given a denominator of 6, so we come over here. And we're asked for sine, so we take the y-coordinate. The numerator is 11, which means that 11 pi over 6 lands in the fourth quadrant. And that tells us that the y-coordinate has to be negative, so we add in a negative sign, and this gives us our answer. Now let's try solving a problem that involves tangent. What is the tangent of 4 pi over 3? Our denominator is 3, so we come over here. And this time we have to consider both the x and the y coordinates. Since 4 pi over 3 has a numerator of 4, this means that 4 pi over 3 lands in the third quadrant, which means that both the x and the y coordinates are negative. Tangent is just sine over cosine. So first let's write down sine of 4 pi over 3. Oops. Which is negative 3 root 3 over 2. Cosine of 4 pi over 3 is negative 1/2. So tangent is sine over cosine. So we do negative root 3 over 2 over negative 1/2, which gives us root 3. And that's our answer. So it's really helpful to memorize these points right here, so that you know that as soon as you're given an angle, you just immediately think of the denominator and you have the point memorized. And just based on the numerator, you figure out what sign goes on the x coordinate and what sign goes on the y coordinate. So it's really helpful to memorize this right over here.